Hi, I'm Mike McCormick here at the GBTA broadcast studio, and I'm here with Lynn Shotwell at the Council for Global Immigration. And Lynn, welcome.
Thanks, Mike.
So certainly very interesting times in terms of immigration being right in the headlines and affecting our industry and affecting so many lives. Tell me a little bit from your perspective, what do we need to know about all the issues today? From your perspective, what's the most important thing for all of us right now?
So I think the issues around immigration really come down to three issues, and this is globally, not just in the U.S.
Right.
There's concerns about security, obviously, concerns about the impact of foreign workers on jobs, and then also cultural integration.
Right.
But for your group, I think it's really the thing to be most concerned about are the implications for someone who's going overseas and then perhaps working without the right permission.
Right. Yeah, and so clearly a lot of focus on the travel ban. We've come out and been opposed to it. Again, we're not about the ideology argument, but more about the impact on business travel, and it certainly had a negative one.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so any insight into that and where it's going and what we need to be thinking about when we're planning travel for the future?
So I think the most important thing for companies is to really have a good sense of who do you have on staff that might potentially be impacted by the travel ban. Certainly that when the travel ban first came out, I think many of us were caught off guard. We didn't expect kind of the way that it was implemented. But since then, what I've seen is companies really taking stock of, what employees do they have, what countries were they born in, how might they potentially be impacted if the travel ban is extended to other countries. And that's certainly within the United States something that's under discussion about, will there be additional countries that are put on this list because they don't comply with the rules that the Trump administration is considering rolling out.
Yeah, I mean, now it sits with the Supreme Court. They've made some adjustments in allowing some aspects of it to continue. Any insight into where you think it'll all come out?
This is, I think, it definitely is something that has to be considered by the Supreme Court, because we had the other day that Hawaii, again, the District Circuit said that the Trump administration had said that if you had ties to close relatives, well, the Hawaii judge decided to expand the definition of close relatives. So I think this is really in flux, and we're going to have to see where the Supreme Court falls. I think it's 50-50. I mean, this administration certainly has the ability to manage our borders and a responsibility to manage the borders. And they do have, under our laws, a great deal of discretion in terms of how to screen people and decide who gets to come in. I think, however, the absolute ban that they had, where they implemented it in January, is unconstitutional. I think there's going to be a fine line, though, about where that falls. So I think what companies have to prepare for is that there will definitely be increased scrutiny. I think there will be certain groups of employees from certain countries that will have an incredibly difficult time getting visas. They'll have to pass enhanced security measures, and that we're going to be kind of in this flux and changing rules for quite some time to come.
Yeah, and communication with their travelers is key.
So that's going to be the key thing, because I think what's happened is many employees have gotten used to jumping on a plane and going whenever they can. And communication between the immigration and HR teams and travel is really critical, because leaving the travel ban aside, even without that, we're seeing countries around the world that are more closely scrutinizing the activities that employees are engaged in. So they're looking, do they have the right work permits? Are they paying taxes? Are there other employment law implications? In some cases, if somebody is settled for too long or travels too frequently, they may be establishing a business presence that is incurring not just personal tax liability, but corporate tax liability. So there has to be a lot more close cooperation, I think, between HR and immigration, and the travel groups.
Great insight from Lynn Shotwell. I'm Mike McCormick here at the GBTA broadcast studio.